So I've kind of wanted to do one of these for a while, and I finally got around to it. So pretty much, what we're gonna do today is I took this scenario from another YouTube video, and someone did a very detailed and very nice write-up. So I'm not gonna take credit for the whole thing, or actually any of it. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna show you how to configure a campus network with two buildings. And I'm going to kind of show my method, the way that I kind of take care of it. And basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to move up the stack. So I'm going to start at L2 and I'm going to move up. And we'll do things one by one. We'll do VLANs, inter-VLAN routing. We'll do OSPF areas and all that jazz. I'm going to try to go step by step. My methodology is a little bit scattered, but hopefully by the time we're done, and I'm probably going to split this into multiple parts because this is a little bit involved, we'll be able to get through some of the things that you need for your CCNA exam. So briefly, I'm going to display the requirements that we have, which I should have had up already, which I don't. But if we pull up the brief, let's see what we're going to do. So pretty much, let's look at a few of the requirements. So this is we're going to have a setup with two buildings. So we have two campuses, right? So we have building A, actually two campuses, a main campus and a smaller campus. And the main campus has three buildings within it that are segregated from each other. So you have, let's see, building A has the admin staff, HR, finance. The admin will share some of the network equipment. You also have the business department here as well. And then the second building we have, let's see, engineering department, and then the faculty of art and design. Okay, and then the third building you have the student labs and the IT department, which also has a web server and a couple of other servers, and then we have an email server hosted out in the cloud. Then you have a smaller building. The smaller building just has faculty of health and sciences and some labs that have staff and student labs, and they're on different floors. And then let's see what we're going to do. So each department faculty is expected to be on its own separate IP network. Switches should be configured with appropriate VLANs. RIP v2 will be used to provide routing for the routers in the internal network and static routing for the external server. And the devices in building A will be expected to acquire dynamic IP addresses from the router based on DHCP server. Okay, so that's what it is in a nutshell. I wrote this up by reading or watching another video, and I typed it up as they were doing that video. So this is not my scenario. I pulled the scenario off of YouTube, and I decided to work on it to practice, and I'm kind of going to go through my stuff along with you and how I got it done. I've already gotten the topology built out. It's not pretty, but it's functional. So I have it built out already. I have the main campus built. I have the smaller campus built. I haven't done the configurations yet, but I do have the topology out there the way that one of the ways we might have done it. So let's go ahead, and I use even G in the cloud. So let's go ahead and open this one. So that's going to be this lab. And as you can see, I already have the topology built out. It's not pretty, but it works. Okay, and we're going to open this. Okay, so now that we have the lab open, okay, I'm not going to display the brief again. I have it printed out in front of me, so I'm kind of just going to go over it quickly again with the topology out here. So I'm actually going to switch this to dark mode. I prefer working in dark mode. So we have our main campus area, which is comprised of three buildings, A, B, and C. We have our secondary campus area with floors 1 and 2. And then we have our external, well, I'm using this VPC as our external email server. And we'll go ahead and take a look at to see how this built out. So I am using a 3-tier architecture. So right? So basically what that means is we have a core network, and this isn't going to be an exact one-to-one because of the limitations of working in the cloud and this type of design, and I kind of did it a little quickly. But we're going to have a core network, right, that's going to handle the communications between the two campuses and the outside world, which is where you see the cloud and the iNet here. Okay, then we have our distribution layer. Our distribution layer really is going to handle the internal networks communication, which this will handle the VLAN routing, the communications between departments, and then if they want to reach the other building, obviously go up to the core, across, and back down. And then there's the distribution layer is the same for both sides. So you have this, the campus, the main campus has its one distribution layer 3 switch that's going to handle internal communications for the main campus, and then the secondary campus has another L3 switch for its distribution layer that will handle both floors. And then we have the access layer. The access layer are simply layer 2 switches that connect all the devices. So building A has the hosts for each department. To make it simple, I just did one device per department. So you'll have, let's see, we'll have, for example, we have one admin, HR, finance, and business. Building B has the faculty of engineering and computing and the faculty of art and design. I also included an admin PC here only because the in the brief it did say that some of the admin PCs will be sharing network equipment, so I'm going to display that here. I don't have it connected yet, but I will. And then building C has the IT department and the student labs. I actually do have to build a web server here. I haven't done that yet, but we'll do that later. But as you can see, I'm only using really one host per segment just to make it easy. Also, because I'm running this in the cloud, I don't have a super powerful hypervisor that's hosting this, so I probably won't have all these devices up and running at the same time. So the reason why this is built this way also is because I have to make note of the VM constraints. And then going over to the second campus, right, you have the Faculty of Health and Sciences, and the staff and student labs are on separate floors. So we have floor 2 and floor 1, and then we also have the web server here. Now, one of the tasks is building A will be expected to acquire dynamic IP addresses from a router-based DHCP server. To make it simple, I'm not going to have a separate server. I'm going to use the L3 switch here to handle the DHCP allocations, just to keep it nice and simple. Okay, so one of the first things that I want to do is I want to go ahead and I want to look at, and I can't remember if I did the basic configuration on this. I do have a boilerplate config that I like to use for these. So let me take a look here really quickly, and just to show you what that kind of looks like when I'm using an L3 router on my labs. Very basic things. So I just want to check quickly how much of this work I've gotten done, at least towards the basic config. So really, I do no IP domain lookup. That annoying problem when you type something in and it tries to look at the domain name of whatever. Like if you put in a command wrong, you'll have to sit there and cancel it. I put in the IP domain, no IP domain name, no IP domain lookup, so that doesn't happen. If I slip or I hit a wrong command, it doesn't do that. I do some basic configuration on the out-of-band management line, so we don't do telnet. I do have a local account that's built, and then I set it to SSH, and then any console connections will be using the local login. And on another video we'll go over that. So let's take a look now to see if what I have on the distribution switch. So I use Secure CRT. I use it at work, and because of that, I like to use it in my lab. So let's pull it up quickly. And it doesn't look like I have anything. I'm going to do a show run. And it looks like this is fairly blank. Okay, cool. So I'm going to go ahead and I am going to just copy and paste my config here. I'm going to do a Command-T, and I am going to paste. And sometimes, because of the buffer speed, things get messed up. So let's try this again. Polling. There's no polling. Okay. Because this is, I use the router config because this is a layer 3 switch, but there's some things that aren't going to work in here. And the host name for this one, let's take a quick look at the topology, is campus disk. So I like to name them the same thing as I have on my topology just to make it easier. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to rename this campus, if I could spell right, campus disk. I'm going to save the config. This is just a basic config. And then I'm going to test a local account just to make sure that it works. Right? So go here. And there we are. And the enable Cisco I use as a password. There it is. So there's a basic config. Okay. So because we're going to do inter-VLAN routing, I know I said I would start at layer 2 and then move up. What I want to do first, so I don't forget it later when I'm running into troubleshooting, is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to enable IP routing. Typically it's disabled by default. And there we go. And then I'm going to save the config again. I have a habit of usually saving the config after a few configurations, just in case something happens. I have to shut down the lab, I get disconnected or whatever, or the unit reboots. I don't lose what I've done. So let's go ahead and do a quick show run. And we see the admin accounts, no IP domain lookup. This is set for PVST. We're going to change this a little later. And we have line configurations done. Okay, perfect. Now, with something like this, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to map out your design. And pretty much what I did was I went ahead and I wrote down the IP addresses, the VLANs, and everything we're going to use, because trying to do it off the top of your head is a pain in the butt. So what I've gone ahead and done is I've gone, and I probably should mark this on the topology, but what I've gone ahead and done is I've already allocated VLANs for the separate departments, right? So VLAN 10 is going to be my management VLAN, and I've set VLAN 20 as my admin. So it'll be VLAN 20, 30, 40, and 50. And then 60 and 70. 80 and 90. And then for floor 1, this is going to be VLAN 100 and VLAN 110. I do it that way simply because it's nice, quick and dirty, simple and easy. We're not doing, there's a lot of things that you would do in an enterprise network or campus network that I'm kind of going to skip over because they're not really going to be necessary for the lab.